Nothing new, right?
Yeah.
Oops, let me switch over my screen here because obviously this is the wrong screen. How? There we go. All right, so let's um let's do something cool. I just am going to start a new project here. And I can't show you what I've been working on because it's for a client, so I'm not allowed to do that. But I'm just gonna play around, do some sketching around, and see what happens, and then just yak and chat. You never know. I might say something really horribly embarrassing or something super cool. Um, Doubt it. Anyway, I do not have pressure sensitivity, unfortunately, on this particular monitor. So any sketching I do is going to have to be adjusted and or in a very boring, um, you know, straight way. Let's go ahead also in style, see if I can change up my original brush here to something a little more interesting. Let's see if that helps. Let's just go, I like to put a lot of variation if at all possible. Keep testing it here just till I get something a little more interesting. Plus, I also, because I don't have the pressure sensitivity on here at the moment, I'm going to throw on these tails and whatnot to kind of, you know, at least make it look somewhat hand drawn. I'm going to go with a more grayish color to kind of just get a pencil vibe, I think, to start with too, because that typically puts me in kind of a scratchy, thinky way, you know, as opposed to uh, it being permanent, you know, final, what do you call it? Final design, you know, final strokes, and that kind of stuff. I really wish I could get the pressure sensitivity going. I don't know. Since I upgraded to the new Moho, my pressure sensitivity went away on this Huion monitor, and I don't know if it's because of mismatch between my resolution, you know, from one to the other, or if it's evidently it's not a Moho problem. I've tried Windows Ink, I've tried everything, nothing changes it. So maybe in a future update or something like that, it'll make a difference. I'm just trying to find a decent kind of scratchy looking pencil for now. That's one that I had created before. The one I had a minute ago was probably better, and I didn't save it. Of course, let's just see here. Like the spacing can come up and make it even more kind of scratchy. I think that's fine. Cause I'm just playing. So I'm gonna save this brush real quick as my scratchy pencil. So I can come back to this at any time, and let's just say yeah, reload those suckers, and I should continually have it. And let's go ahead and get rid of all this for the moment. So I'm just goofing off, seeing if there's a character from some, you know, weird way of doing something to, you know what I mean. So something they teach you sometimes in design school is kind of making silhouettes or blobs, you know, and then pulling characters from those and so forth. So we might go that route. Another thing we might do is kind of find, you know, some this, we could go with this splotchy. Of course, I think we're in white here, so that's not going to help us. Let's just kind of go with a gray silhouette kind of thing, to where we can come in here and create something interesting. That splotchy's not going to work though. Let's try crayon maybe. That will probably be a bit better. I like to break it up a bit and just see what happens. So this gives us kind of an idea. I also think my fill needs to be lighter until I get something that's, you know, a little similar to the line. color. We can always copy and paste that color over though. I did forget about that, so let's just copy that color, put it on our fill to where they are the same, and now when we draw, you know, it'll feel a bit more whatever. Plus the stroke is a bit less dense, so there's that, which could make this look a little bit better when we do that. Anyway, so if you just start off with like a shape of something, like I don't even know what it's going to be, you can just kind of go like this, and you're like, okay, well, what is that? Well, it looks kind of like a ghost, but I want to kind of do something less obvious. So what I would probably do, I'm just going to move a couple of these points around here because they are not great. Delete that one maybe, and that one. And you know, what do I see in that? So if I create a new layer over the top of that, and not sure why that did what that's doing. And does that matter for over there? Does that why it's different? Weird. So this layer is going to be kind of like my more permanent layer. What I'm going to pull from this little sketch. I'm just going to knock the opacity of that layer down to, you know, pretty low. And then I didn't put apply, did I? So let's go ahead and say it's going to be that. We said apply, okay. And then on this layer 2 here, I don't know why it's oddly filling. What's the difference? I mean, why does it make a difference here? Why doesn't it preview that correctly? He wondered to himself. Let's just grab the shape there, back on 0. Tap the shape, make sure. Now this seems more like what it's showing me there. Just up this to maybe 50, and then we look over here. I didn't know it did that, and I don't know why it doesn't show you in real time what you're doing. Who knows? So let's go ahead and anyway, just do some sketching here based on this shape that just seems kind of arbitrary and silly. Let's take out our fill, take that off. Come on. I'm just going to go to a black for the stroke and make sure that's good. And I'm going to turn off my, come on, my fill. Sorry guys, for some reason things are being a little uncooperative here. It's gonna have to make a, I don't know why I can't click out of this shape mode. We do not want fill, but we do want stroke. And hopefully that will change things in my style here, but it doesn't look like it is. Why is that? Strange. So if I do this, see, I don't want, how odd is this? I don't want the fill on, just the stroke. Well, if you see something I'm doing wrong, folks, let me know because, oh, there it is, autofill. I knew that. Good to go. So, anyway, back to actually creating something. Let's go ahead and get our, oh, I give up. Just a kind of a shape here. So I see some kind of a nose here and something like that. This could be a head and a jaw scenario. It looks a little like goofy, but yeah, I see that. I think that's okay. And with this sort of stroke happening here, I'm going to turn off the lower layer. Now, you can enhance this in any way you want, obviously. It doesn't have to, I just realized my microphone's way back here. It doesn't have to, what do you call it? Sorry if this is very disturbing, moving my stuff around. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything. It just, you know, I'm just pulling things directly out of shapes that I've sketched here. Who knows? Who knows what it is, what it can be. You know, just come through and add some stuff to it, you know. Trying not to make it look like goofy if I can help it, you know. But I am making it look pretty goofy. Do not know what this is. If I give him ears of any kind, he's going to look like Goofy. But I think what I might wind up doing with that is if I can grab just one line of this here and move that now. See, that's the beauty of doing this in here. It's a lot like doing it in Photoshop, you know, or Illustrator or anything. Now you can, of course, copy and paste that. And out of that little blurb that made no sense, now I have a little rat character. Of course, that can be shrunk down a bit, etc. He's definitely, I would say he's goofy, even though he's not actually goofy. But you could even give him a little bit of this if you really wanted to bring it back that direction. Not horrible. I think there's probably more promising characters we could pull from that. So I'm going to delete this underlayer. That one I'm just going to grab the whole thing and make it smaller and stick it off to the side, because it really is just a sketch of an idea kind of thing. So I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in it yet. So we'll just stick him over here. And then keep going, you know, make a new layer and come up with something else. And if it sucks, it sucks. If it's good, boom, you know, fantastic. So like I said, I popped that out of just a random shape. You don't have to do it that way, of course. And now let's just try something else, a squiggle, okay? So there's a squiggle. I don't know what that's part of just to say from the get-go, but it could be, you know, all kinds of things, right? No, maybe like so, like so, you know, maybe he's got a couple teeth happening there. So you get the idea. This is kind of the route I like to take on some of this. Oftentimes, though, I have a completely mapped out idea. Then I'll make a new layer for that, and we'll take this last one and knock down its opacity. I'll just bring my actual dialogue over here, but maybe back to 30, and then we can take our pen tool, which I'm going to now drop down to about 4 or 5, and maybe make some more serious lines out of that. Not finals necessarily, but, you know, something a little closer to what we might actually really make. At least a more refined and planned sort of line. I've got my smoothing up relatively high. I don't know if y'all can tell. And, you know, that gets a little closer to what we may or may not want in the end. And then I can delete that layer before. And I can take this layer now. I'm just going to see if we can go to quick settings on it. Should have an opacity. It does not, so I'm going to go with the double click, turn that down to 30, and apply OK. And then we'll go and do some even more serious stuff over the top of this one. So I'm just going to be a little more on purpose. So we're going to make a new layer, leaving that one alone. And on this one, I'm going to actually use my you know, pen or my add points tool to try and do something. So I'm going to use this this auto stroke, auto fill, and maybe make some shapes like let's say the head kind of does this kind of situation. Everything all right? And let's swap out our color though real quick so that you know, it doesn't look horrid as horrid can be. So our fill, let's go with something kind of a dull lighter green. I like that. I'll leave the edges gray for now. It doesn't matter. It actually might look good. And then I'll go ahead and play with it a little bit. I'm not seeing the chat, so if you guys are chatting with me, I guess I could open that up. That's my whoops, no reason to have done that. So I'll open up a chat here and see if I can see what you guys may or may not be saying. So sorry about that. I just was not planning on needing it, but now that I don't have it, I know that I would actually like to. I'll make sure I turn down my oh wait, that's YouTube. Yeah, that's what I need, Sean. You can handle this. So let's just pop over to my page and look at the most horrible rat character there in the world. Oh, evidently my face is being blocked by that microphone now too. Very professional around here, folks, let me tell you what. Yeah, so oh hey, Sloth Cat, how's it going? Good to see you here. I'm just goofing, making shapes. So, and so on that layer there, let's go ahead and add another one. And we still have that same crayon set up there. Let me just go back to plain on that for now. Where you at? Why are you being so difficult this morning? You need to be not crayon. Thank you very much. All right. So anyway, on that new layer, if we ever get there, I'm just going to create the sort of this area. And this is really just messing around. Like I said, I'm not doing final shapes of anything, just kind of figuring out, you know, what I would do if I was in this situation or whatever. I'm just going to call this head for now so I can keep it organized. This will be sort of like nose 1, I guess. Sounds good. And then we're going to do another one above that and call that nose 3. And this is just another way of making another character. We'll get to doing something cool in a bit. This is just kind of discussing how you might go about creating kind of an original character from just throwing ideas around in your head about it. So there's that piece of the nose here. I'm just gonna maybe take out 1 or 2. That one may or may not have probably been needing to be saved, like maybe up here like that. Not saved, but you know, the edges, you know, hang on to them. Sorry, I'm a little discombobulated at the moment. I'm gonna go ahead now and make a little nostril. Let's just kind of see where that was at. So just here. I think I put this on the wrong layer, so that's cool. No, it's on the right one. Good. I'm going to turn these back on, and then I'm going to create a shape off that stroke there. Let's use the stroke, create shape. Good to go. And with that shape selected, I can come in here and make it a bit more pronounced. You can see that I'm using a kind of a pencil sketch kind of vibe there, and then I'm gonna just pull my ends down a bit. You don't have to go like mega sharp on those, because sometimes it looks a little overly digital, you know. You get the idea though. Alright, so there's that. We could throw out the lower jaw. So these two noses, I'm going to stick in the same folder or group, I mean, and we'll call that, you know, nose, snout, whatever you want to call it. Close that up, and then make another layer. And all these can be sized down and stuck over to the side, you know, just the same. I'm just going to say jaw. And this could be one piece or a bunch or whatever, but let's go ahead and just turn the head off for a minute and just kind of throw this out. And stick that together and get rid of that line there. And I think for the moment that's kind of okay. I mean, we can always throw in extra lines. We can always come in and do, you know, something like that. However you want to manage that. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just really talking. So talk with me if you feel like it, if you're watching, etc. And you know, my cat's walking around trying to disturb me if she possibly can, which she eventually will, I guarantee you. Alright, so with this head layer now, you can see all's okay with that, but we need some kind of inside mouth, I guess, on there. So I'm going to go back below this jaw, right above this nose. I probably should do it below the nose too, now that I think about it. Add another vector, and we'll put in inner mouth. And like I said, I'm just goofing off here. We're going to drag that though below the nose, not inside of it though. And then I'm just going to kind of, oh, you know what? I actually have to have it above those two pieces now that I think about it. Smart. And I do suggest kind of doing this the way I'm doing it. The behind the jaw, but above the nose here. It'll make sense in a bit, I guess. So like that. And we can always add an upper or whatever you want. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Yeah, to some degree, maybe. All that can be changed, moved, you know. Use the freedom you have, I say, while you have it. Okay, maybe something like that. Once again, selecting this. We're just going to use a fill. Well, let's use both. And create the shape. And within there, now, and I always tend to use this little color bit here, selector. And something maybe kind of like that. Boom. You know, I don't know what we're doing, but we're getting there. The nose. This is going to be the end, I think, nose. Yep. And I'm going to select this guy. I think originally I did not want both of those, but now I'm going to. And then on the color, we can always take just like a, that one's not closed, that's why. So let's do that and just take these and close them up. We can always, you know what, let's do that. Connect and create. I don't use that very often, but when you grab this, you can always go connect and create, and it should keep your lines as you had them, which is always cool. And then of course you can go back and change the color to something like a, maybe a darker green than you have, like that, where it doesn't look like he's got a bloody hole in his face, because nobody likes a bloody hole. I'm just going to move past that comment, and let's just go like that. Maybe make that one a rounded shape. You get the idea. So that's not very round though, is it? It might be due to the fact that of resolution. So cool. So let's just move on from there. It's all right. There's no shading or anything. And cool. Let's just check in. That's the sketch layer. Let's just check in above that one. Maybe the neck. You know, I do like to label my layers as I go. Usually, sometimes, of course, as you all know, probably that's a huge pain. And I'm just goofing, but thank you. I appreciate that. Normally, I am kind of faster at this kind of stuff, but I am in the middle of, I guess, talking and sorting problems at the same time this morning. So cool. I see you on Greg's videos. So have not seen your work, unfortunately, though. I have been busy with client work and some other stuff too. Not that I'm getting as much as I'd like, but at least there is some. So just copy that one, chuck it down onto the neck, which is you, because it's called neck. Imagine that. And we're going to just paste that color in there to match. And probably now, I don't know, get this head layer broken up a little bit more here by hiding this line. Maybe you should have hit all of them, or maybe just the other. So let's take this and bring it back and then move that around. Just giving a little bit, and then let's widen out some points here like this guy. Okay, like I said, I don't know exactly what it is I'm working toward here. It looks like some kind of dragony crocodile guy. Probably a dragon, I think. Some kind of kid's book dragon. Works for me. And we can take that mouth, not the inner, but the other. Maybe take this jaw. Take this jaw and shove it. Just kidding. And pull these like that a bit better. So anyway, I think above now, of course, I'm going to create another vector here. This is going to be our, I'm just going to make the eyeball first. So eyeball, right. Cat is doing something weird over there. Now she's up on the mixer, which is my favorite thing. Excuse me while I try to get her down and out of my life. Get down. No, no. Get down, please. Thank you. And yeah, she is the cutest cat ever, and probably the most bothersome creature on the planet. And let's go ahead and take this yay ball that I apparently wrote yay ball for. It's my dyslexia kicking in probably. Eyeball. I don't know that I have it, but and then, you know, change the fill of it right here to something kind of whitish, yellowish. I think yellowish might be a little bit better. Let's go for it. I don't think it changed, so I have to reselect. There we go. And let's change to something kind of a little more yellow, I think would look better. So that's just going to be the ball. And I'll duplicate this over in a sec. So another vector here for the lid bottom. And I'm just going to not label these left and right at this point. And just do kind of a, like so. Let's sharp the corners of that maybe. Possibly. Don't always have to. It's my go-to kind of though. It's like, I'll make those corners sharp because they're corners, but it's not necessary. I mean, sometimes you can leave them round and it looks a little more blobby, which is cool. Stick these out like that. Go ahead and change the color, or this way. The color of this one. Ooh, I don't know if we have a... Yeah, we do. So it's going to be something like the other. It could be darker. Why not? Well, This is my biggest problem, is changing my mind about everything all the time. I think that's going to have a little more yellow in it. Maybe more blue. Maybe I was absolutely wrong.
What's wrong?
Yeah, something like that. I guessed that color. I think it looks all right. Cool. And then, of course, lid bottom, and that can be worked on shape-wise. And I'm going to go and duplicate that one. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Duplicate it. And I'm going to do lid top. And then we could just change the configuration there of the points. In fact, we can grab all those points and just roll them over. Real simple like. And then do what you want to with them. I always constantly think about how can I do this faster, you know, and less steps, and because I could get into, you know, just doing it tedious like all day long. But the problem is, who's got time for that? Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, so something like that. Let's go back to that bottom one. Maybe make it a little more open. In fact, I'm going to give it one more point right here to control that a bit better. Yeah, you can add those little points in anytime you want. Looks like we're going to need a couple more, which I don't like. You know what? I'm going to make that one a little more round by not adding a point, but adjusting the top there of the actual curvature probably. Just kind of smooth those out a bit like that. Cool. I like the junky look though, because it's real hand drawn, you know. It has a really neat vibe. So the bottom I'm going to make sure is underneath, as the bottom lid should be. So it looks a little bit like a Pete's Dragon or a Disney crocodile kind of look. Something I do also like. Because it's a dragon, let's go ahead and make a pupil on here. On the above the eyeball layer, but underneath the lids. I'm going to call this pupil, of all things. I was going to call it student, but I thought that was a little cheesy. Pupil, get it? Okay, so let's go ahead now and just add something like this. And then we can come in, obviously change the color for one. I'm just going to go with straight black for now. And then go back into our curvature, deselect everything. Go into, I wish you could deselect while in the curvature tool. That's a complaint I have for the company. Okay, so we do that, and looks cool, I guess. I think we should make this a dark gray, however, because that way it would match the pencil and everything. Okay. You like to, yeah. Exactly. I mean, it needs to have that little bit of a warble or whatever to it. It tends to look more hand-drawn, more real. All right, so let's go ahead and just kind of select the color for this pupil that's, you know, something similar. Yeah, that's about right there. I match by eye, okay. I don't think I actually had my shape selected, sorry. And let's just go ahead and do that again. Something along those lines like so. It'll survive. Okay, my cat is very disturbed this morning apparently. Okay, so there's that. Let's just take the entire eye now, lids and all. I'm just going to group them all for now. I'll probably pull the lids back out possibly, or I won't. I'm just going to unmask them when we do masking. So we're going to group. Call this eye. This one's going to be the right. I will have to rename it when we do the duplicate, but the duplicate layer now. This is going to be eye left. And we don't need to mirror this, I don't believe, because I can just take it and move it over. I'll just change my center out here and get that over here. That one also needs to go behind the head at the very least. Scale it down. Something like that. I don't know. I like goofy eyes, goofy characters. And this is really goofy. It's not This ain't no Disney quality yet, you know. But you get the idea. Okay. So, oh, there's no shading, so, you know, there's that. I don't even know why I'm going this far with it. This is not really what my plan was, but it's working. So I think below the nose and above the head layer, we'll make another layer here. And I'm going to do my teeth separately just because when you turn a head, especially when there's like a long snout, the teeth need to be able to separate and also overlap depending where, you know, what position it's in. So I'm going to go just and make a tooth here. I'm just going to call it tooth of all things. And before we get going, I'm probably going to make the fill like a whitish yellow again. The stroke can stay the same. And I'm just going to say, hey, you know, something like that. I'm not going to over sharp that like I just said, just a little bit like that. These are okay because, well, you know, they're not going to really be seen so much, but that looks pretty good in that regard. And I'm probably just going to make duplicates of this. So we're just going to duplicate it and move them around. So, have you talked to Greg today? I have not. I saw that he did another live stream last night. I want to do one about the visual scripting and what I'm doing in Game Maker, which I haven't touched in a while. I'll admit it. But I love it, but I just, at the same time, I'm not an expert and I'm not a coder. I did HTML for a long time, got into Dark Basic, got into, you know, but not enough to really go, yep, that's what I do. I was just trying to figure out how to make games and, you know, also I was into robotics, a lot of hobby robotics growing up, and eventually wanted to do coding because I did a whole bunch of, you know, solid state, you know, etc., electronics and whatnot, and then I wanted to do coding from the computer, you know, and then I did all that stuff before any of this other Arduino or anything came out. But Arduino and on more of those companies really have changed a lot. And now with AI, you can make yourself a freaking Android, which I always wanted to do as a kid. You know, I mean, a really beautiful, attractive, weird. Yeah, never mind. But anyway, I always wanted to do that. You know, just to have done it. And you know, life, things. Wife doesn't want a digital woman walking around the house, you know, doing whatever I tell her to, which is weird. You know, why not? Okay, so let's go on. And my jaw is in the front, which is a little weird, but that's because of this piece here. Now, I could make that cheek piece separately to be able to put my jaw behind the upper. It just depends on what I want to do. I think it would be kind of cool, though, maybe if I had these teeth able to stick out over the front. So I'm going to do like so, and then I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this tooth, move it under the jaw but above the inner mouth. That way when we rotate this one around, which is not centered obviously, and stick it here, you can see it's actually in the mouth, which is how you want it, exactly like so. I'm also going to make this one a little shorter. No, actually I'm not. I'm just going to put its center in the right place because I was like, wait a minute, why is that hanging over? There we go, that's a bit better, and that way I can rotate it and move it like I want. So copy and paste that guy now. Wrong piece, let's just delete that. Grab our tooth, grab our layer, copy and paste it. Is that going to work? No, it keeps doing the neckline. So I'm going to duplicate it over here. That tooth, and now we can move it around. Yeah, Mo's got these weird little quirks that sometimes really throw me. I'm like, why is it doing that? But you know, most of the time I'm like, come across that problem before, I know how to fix it. I need to shave. Alright, so now I'm going to duplicate this one more time. Move it over here, widen it out just a little bit here, scale-wise, rotate it again. Alright, so we have this silly looking dude. And then we need a couple of eyebrows. Let's do that. So right above the eyes. I think above them. Yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and add brow. Right. This is going to be the prominent one. And I'm just going to use my my freehand tool here and bring it up to about, you know, something thicker. Maybe even 20 something. And I'm going to leave, I think I might leave the tapering on. We'll see. If this was, let's go a little less. If this was a pressure sensitive situation here, I probably, let's make that even less. Would probably be doing this different, but because I don't have that pressure sensitivity, make these a little longer. There we go. And let's duplicate that one. Actually, let's just make a new layer. Brow left. And let's go ahead and do this guy. And that one's going to have to go, that's the eye right. Where's my eye left? That one's going to have to go above the eye left. Like that. Okay. Kind of funny. I mean, he's a funny dude, in my opinion. So with that, now, this is how I would do... let's group some stuff first, and then I'll do some shading. So we got the neck, we got the eye, we got the brow, these teeth, and the nose. So these are, let's make sure if these are upper or lowers. So these are my upper teeth here. I want to group those with that piece of that nose. So I'm just going to grab that, throw them inside of it. And then on the nose, I'm going to open that and see, yep, they're right where I left them. So that way when that nose moves, it moves everything. And then, of course, I like to recenter my stuff from the point it's going to be pivoting from. Typically, like I said, I might not have done that with, you know, absolutely everything. That's one. So nose, this nose piece I'm going to do like back here. This nose piece will get right here. This tooth needs to be, you know, and if you have to move these, it lets you move them from that root point if you don't know that. So anyway, so the nose 3 now, nose 1, nose, and then there's my teeth. Perfect. I'm going to close that up and do the same thing here on my jaw because these cannot be just floating around by themselves. It would be hell to animate any of that. The inner mouth I'm going to leave where it is. I'm just going to combine all these together, group with selection. We're going to call this jaw, of course. That way when it moves, and then of course we need to be able to tell it, well, where are you moving from, buddy? And I will tell you right about there. And then the jaw itself, right there. The teeth, yeah, that seems to be okay. These pretty much had them centered for the most part, yep. Okay, so the jaw, the teeth, and this also cleans up your layers to sit here and do this. So we got the brow, the eye, the nose, the head, which is just like the actual base skull, the other brow, the other eye, the neck. What is this, layer 3? This is my sketch layer. So I think I'm going to go ahead and delete it now because that's the original kind of drawing. And layer 2, I don't think anything was on at all, so we'll just go ahead and get rid of that too. All right, this is now our dragon head without the head part. If I wanted to, I could group this head and the eyebrows and all this stuff together. Sometimes your eyeballs don't work when they're inside mask groups inside of another group. I don't know why. So for the moment, I'm just going to leave them here until we figure out, you know, exactly what it is we need to do. Moho's being a little unresponsive. Let me just make sure. Okay. All right, so with that, let's throw some shading on this dude. I'm gonna keep the shading as much as I can with the parts the same way. So like if we have this lower jaw, I'm just gonna grab that entire piece and I'm gonna create a new layer in here. And the reason why I do it as a new layer, because I can give it a different effect or use masking to chop that off so we don't have to sit there and tediously move it exact every time. It just works well. So I'm going to put right up here at the top, jaw shading and or shadow. I usually use shadow. And then we can just come in here and make a, hang on, that was weird. We can make a, you know, primarily a shadow, and you can just go right outside the lines on this because like I said, we're going to mask that. Most people don't have yellow shadows. I mean, unless there's something weird you're doing, and that's cool, you know, to each their own. I'm going to select it. I'm going to turn off the stroke of it, and I'm going to make sure that this fill is probably just a darker green and more drabby, something kind of like this. Not too extremely different. And then I'm going to come into the color of it. Or no, we've got the color. And then I'm going to come into the actual folder here, double click it, go to masking, go to hide all. And then we're going to come to, whoa, what happened here? Jaw, masking, hide all. I mean, that's correct. Why are we having this issue though? And then I'm going to come down to, oh, because the jaw shape is not on the bottom where it should be. So that should be there. The shading can be totally on the top, but this jaw now has to say you're masking it and excluding layers. I don't know what happened here. Hang on. Something is not right with my selection here in the masking. That is all correct. So what happened? You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these back out of here. I'm going to make a new folder because something's wrong with this folder, the jaw. I could spend a lot of time figuring it out, whoops, but I'd rather just make a new one that is correct. That's jaw. This is the jaw folder. Delete that. Okay, so now with the jaw at the bottom, which is your main shape that you want everything to be cut out with, and there's the jaw shading here, the teeth. They're on top now. We do, okay, let me think. We do want those teeth behind this. You know what? The teeth don't need to be inside the jaw. They can just be parented after the fact. I knew that. So I'm going to pull those above the inner mouth, but behind the jaw. So that's correct. So now this jaw and jaw shading will be grouped. We're going to go ahead and group those together, call it jaw. The teeth were throwing it. So we're going to go jaw. This should work. And then now in the masking of this folder, we're going to say hide all, apply it. That should work. And then on the jaw, we're going to tell it use this essentially as the cutaway. So we're going to say apply, good, and nothing. Oh yeah, it's exactly what we want. Okay, so now on the shading, we can do interesting stuff. You can leave it, whoops, you can leave it as a hard edge if you want. You can also select like a soft effect for it. That's another choice for sure. Let's get these where, you know, whereabouts you want them. If any of this needs to be adjusted, obviously you can do whatever you need, but your stroke here though can affect how this works. I'm gonna run a little preview here just to see if that's how it's gonna render. And no, it looks absolutely fine. So the shadow is a little dark for my taste. So we're gonna go into that jaw shading. And I'm just gonna make it about half between what this was. And see how this looks here? It's more like what I wanted it to look, but that dot pattern made it look like it was a lot lighter than it really was. So I'm just gonna kind of come up here somewhere like that. Maybe it might be too light still. And say, no, that works. Okay, so there's that. And you can, you know, we can make this narrower or whatever, especially in certain parts. You know, it's a bigger shadow, the farther maybe to the bottom it is, or whatever. So you get the idea. You can also come in, like I said, and make that a soft edge piece, you know, by just selecting it and going soft edge and deciding how soft you want that, and then boom, you got that. So that works for me too. Let's go ahead and use that. I'm going to go bring this down though a bit to like maybe 6, to where it's a little bit stronger, maybe even a little bit more. Let's just go with like 3 maybe. I don't think I'm still selected on it. Hang on. There we go. And then we'll come down to maybe like 6. You can actually see it in your window now. That looks better around 4. Perfect. So you get the idea. And when it renders, this little halo, white halo, will not be there. So let's come up here now, I guess, to the nose. The big part of the nose is what I want to kind of focus on first. So that is the right one. Just gonna throw on another layer here. And we're gonna say vector layer. And those teeth also need to be outside of this jaw, I think. So let's go ahead and just pop those out for now. You can mask those teeth though, I'm thinking, with this jaw just the same. Let me just make sure they're out, which they are not. It's weird how this handles this as well. There we go. And so this is the main, this is the, that's the what's happening? That's my, is that my nostril? I'm checking. Sorry guys. Anyway, not sure what that layer is. It's nothing. I think this is where I was going to make something, and oh yeah, my shadow. Imagine that. So this is nose shadow. Been watching conspiracy theory videos all morning, so I'm a little, you know, out of it and weirded out. And of course, nose shadow. It's gonna do kind of a little follow around here like this. You can make this as extreme or whatever as you like. We're gonna make sure we don't have that stroke on it, because nobody likes a stroke, especially me. And I'm going to make sure, I think it's already selected on the soft, so that's good. And it's going to adjust a line or two here, or a point or two here to get started. And I'm going to sharp those end points, because those, in my opinion, really should just sort of terminate. And there we go. All right, so with that now, the teeth now, like I said, let me think for a second, should be a part of the jaw, so they move with it, but as far as parenting and all that, but I think they need to be cut out by that jaw just the same, and the way you do that is I put them in here above the jaw, and then I have to say that they are ignored by the masking. So I just go to masking, don't mask, and that is perfect. So this here, we're going to start with that anyway. Don't mask, and then this one's got to be don't mask, and then I need to put them behind the jaw. And that should not throw anything off, I think. Yeah, perfect. Exactly. That way we can close up our jaw. Our teeth are inside of there. No, they are not. Here we go again. Let's put them in there now. Okay, everything is good now. Okay, cool. So that's how you would do that. And then on the nose, same difference. We want to put the teeth inside that upper nose layer as well, right up in his nose. And we make sure that those, if they need masking, are not masked. So that is there. I want to just double check that this nose 3, any of the nose, let's check the masking on is what I'm trying to say. So this one needs a hide all, and you'll see some of the problem here now. We are going to go down to the, there's nose, no shadow, nose 1, 2, 3. nose 1, see, it cannot be determining the entire shape. So I think with this guy, either we got a not mask, which may be the case, or we need to break these up into separate pieces. So I'm going to go here and just not mask for now. See if it causes a problem. It's not like I'm going to animate this guy today or something, probably, because we're just sketching, right? Yeah, did a whole lot of sketching. 2 sketches. Okay, so we'll leave this like this for the moment. No masking in it right now. Anyway, like the throat. Okay, let's say inner mouth. Now we do want to put a little bit of shadow in here, so we're going to say throat shadow. Even though it's not like shadow, it's just the deeper part of it. You can even use just a circle for this and just kind of go right. And that, of course, is going to have to be under the nose, which we've got the nose on the top. Still not sure why I did it that way. I'm just going to pull the nose over the top of the jaw. I know it's because of that section there. And then the head's going to have to be above the inner mouth and shadow as well. So that works. Perfect. All right, so now with that throat shadow, we can come in here and change its color. Not really sure why I did the layers the way I did originally. I don't know. And let's make that darker than the original throat color. And that should work there. So, boom. You can do this hard edge, soft edge. It does not matter. It's up to you, personal taste, and so on. Okay, so I think we can do now like a highlight for the nose parts, which in all honesty, this is kind of where the life comes out, in my opinion. Before that, let's go ahead though and make a shadow on the head under the eyes. Very important to add the depth and dimension. And we're gonna have to obviously change color, but I'm gonna do this just like so. We're going to use a mask. I'm gonna make sure I put that on the head layer. It's not where I wanted it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna cut it. So edit cut. It's not on that layer anymore. I'm gonna make a new layer right above that head layer. We're gonna call this eye shadow. It wears makeup. And then we're gonna paste that back in onto the eyeshadow layer. Of course, it needs to be a different color like our other face shadow is. So I'm just gonna kind of come over here to a green, kind of do a drabby color, a little more into the blue. Maybe not that blue. Okay, something maybe like this. And obviously we're going to turn the stroke off of that. And yeah, that looks good. And so the next thing to do is to take the head and that eye shadow, right click, group them together. This will be called head now. Hopefully I'm not moving too fast. It's not really a tutorial, but if you guys like what I'm doing, let me know. And in the head layer, go to masking, hide all. It'll chop off this little edge here, which we want. Boink. And then we'll come back into the head layer and go to masking and tell it, hey, keep the strokes though, buddy. And so when we apply that, our strokes come back as best they can. You can see right there. Okay, so there we go. Little dragon dude, kind of weird. We can throw a little lip line or something like that on him. But let's do those highlights, as I said. So here's the head. And I think on the end nose, definitely we want. So let's just find the, where's my nose parts here? That's in jaw. Where's my nose parts? Let me turn off the eyes, inner mouth, throat shadow, the head, the eye shadow. Why can't I find this? Head, tooth, jaw, brow, eye. Oh, we've got somehow this in this folder. So I want to make sure the nose is not inside of that eye right folder. We're just going to pop that back out right on top of the jaw folder if we can. There we go. That way when we turn everything off, you know, nothing does anything strange. The jaw is to the jaw. The nose is to the nose. So on the nose, not to be too on the nose, but we're going to take this in one and at least make a little highlight right there. So there's our nose shadow. There's our nose. We're going to add another layer. We're just going to call this nose highlight. I'm going to put it above the nose shadow because it just seems appropriate. So nose highlight. And with that, we need to probably change, possibly. I'm just going to go with a white and see if that shows up. You can do just a stroke if we want to here, like kind of like a, and then we have that line. We don't want the line gray, obviously, so I'm just going to come back in here and select the shape of that. And we're going to just use stroke, and we're going to create that shape. And back over here, I want to make sure that on that stroke we have this to whatever color, you know, we want that highlight to be. I'm just going to kind of make a real pale green, and then you can see now we've got that. When it renders, it'll look much better. I'll show you in a bit, but until then, let's go ahead and grab the points of this a little, like so. Looks great. We'll do one for the back of the neck as well. So down here on the neck, if I can find it. There we go, and add another layer right above it. We will be grouping these, and I will call this neck highlight. And we didn't do a neck shadow, but we'll see if we need to. We probably do at least right under this area. So neck highlight, we can go back in with this tool again and just go like that. Then we can of course come in and move around any of these points. We can do a head highlight. You can actually come in and make these even wider if you really want, you know, that to stand out a little better. Okay, that works. Change your curvature to match and all that good stuff. So this is just a really goofy, you know, goofy character sketch kind of thing. And I wanted it to kind of feel like a little bit of a sketch. There are techniques to come in and do some watercolor vibe to it by using the new brushes and the shrimp, the mantis shrimp update there. And yeah, so I mean, we can just put shading on this dude, you know, for days, however you want to do that. The eyes always are good to put a little, you know, dot of something in. So we're just going to use let's go with the left eye, and just above the pupil, I'm going to go and add a little circle of light, you know. Thanks. He's coming along, I suppose. And we'll go from, you know, soft on that to hard or plain. That way we get the, you know, hard edge highlight there. Can move that around however, wherever necessary. And let me rotate that a bit like that, and kind of, and then we'll copy it, throw it on the center of this here. I keep forgetting to give the origins of my layers, which in 3D is very necessary. Here you can fudge a little because a lot of times you won't be using it unless, of course, you're needing to rotate the layer based on the pivot point. But so I'm just going to duplicate. I'm going to call this highlight, and I'm going to duplicate it, stick it in our eye left, which is going to be way up on toward the top now, or eye right, I should say. So let's just put that highlight on top of the pupil. And there we go. We can take it and rotate it around as necessary, which I kind of want a little more of that. Let's fix the other one as well, because I don't know why, but it didn't seem to keep my rotation I did. I must have pressed undo or something. So you get the idea. All that's, you know, there. He's goofy. I think I want to change the shape of the mouth now, which is cool. Very, sorry, I'm in a zone. So that is the nose one. Let's go ahead and fix this. I want him to kind of have a different kind of demeanor. And I think the other one is going to be my head. No? Where's that part of the jaw? That's the head for sure. So let's go ahead down here and adjust it now. Not really feeling this sort of whatever's happening there. I mean, it was a sketch, you know, a quick knockout just to make a shape. So something like that's a little better in my opinion. It's got a little bit more character now. And what am I missing? He doesn't really need ears. We could give him some kind of little flaps or something, but you know, not 1000% necessary. And then a couple of small details, real simple to do. Just make sure your freehand tool is of the coloring you want to do. I guess I'll go ahead and do some of this. You get that sort of Barney Rubble. This reminds me of the Flintstones a lot, so something like that. And those are all part of that neck layer, you know. And then you can go into the head, do it there. And I highly suggest doing this kind of thing because that extra detail really makes a huge difference. So you can put a little bit of a highlight here and here, maybe even just a little couple scales, you know, kind of happening. And then of course the nose. The nose 3, I just want to make sure which one this is. That is that end one. Doesn't need what you call it's there, but this piece definitely needs at least a highlight to start with. You can make that larger by just coming in here and upping the width. And then going back and giving us some little, you know, we can do a little whatever, some scales maybe, you know, dots and so forth. So now it's odd how quickly with those highlights it really makes it feel more professional. We're gonna go with the top lid now and just do a slight little highlight there, and the same thing on the other eye. Let's just go to the lid top of this eye. Not going to see it very much, but you know it's there. And if we wanted to, you could put shadow ones on the bottom. I don't think it needs that. It's a little overly detailed for that kind of thing. So cool. I think on the nose though, one little last thing to draw will be on that nose 3. Let me just make sure it's the right one again. We can come in here and maybe highlight the top edge of that, maybe a little bit there. And that's pretty much done in my opinion. So you can even take the whole thing. Let's throw some bones in it and see what happens. Because why not? I'm gonna close up all these layers, and we're just gonna leave the I don't know what happened to my little dude I had up here. Guess I deleted it. Oh, I did. Not a big deal. Okay, so we're just gonna take all these, right click them, group them. And, you know, call this dragon dude. And like I said, this can work for, you know, just sketching your stuff out. You can obviously take this and size it, put it anywhere you want, draw another dude next to it or whatever. And let's turn that into a bone layer, because why not? Convert to bone. And with that, we can now start adding a little skeleton, throw some expressions on him. And I say, why not? We're here. We might as well. I don't know how long this broadcast has gone on for yet, but, you know, whatever. So I'm going to make a pin bone that's going to root everything, and then we're going to start making a few, you know, bones here. This will be the kind of like the head bone, and then we're going to kind of do a nose, and maybe with a little adjustment at the end. I don't know. And then with this... And that may be too many bones. Let's go ahead and undo some of this. My bad. Good. Let's just redo this guy. Make a head bone that's the entire head. And then maybe we'll adjust that. And then off of this head bone, of course, we can do the maybe jaw. Let's just do it like that. Believe it or not, that is all of the bones we need for him, as far as the basic structure. And then we can come in and start parenting junk. It's that simple. So with the, let's just say the left eye layer, we can just say, hey, parent that to the head bone, please. Doink. And with the right eye layer, we can parent that to the same. And in fact, with the brow right, parent that to the head. And the brow left, we do the same. It's really that simple. And then we're going to do some point binding here real quick. And I think we'll be good to go. Let's get the teeth, though. That's what we're missing. So within the nose, we're going to take each tooth, bond it to, I think this bone will be fine. Bond this one to here, and I mean bind when I say bond, and this one to here. I think all of that's good. We'll worry about these later in a minute. And then the teeth on the bottom and the jaw will have to be bound to their respective bone as well. Cool. Okay, now let's just move a couple of these bones around to make sure things are working. Let's first of all take all of our bones. I'm just going to turn the power off on them for now. Done. And then we can come over here and we can select a bone. You can see that nothing is connected to certain things, but certain things they are, and it's all working really good. So let's go down the list here now. First things first, the eyes are good to go. The neck and the neck highlight need to be bound, so I'm just going to make sure we don't have anything selected. We're going to select the bone for this. We're going to come down here, and for this neck, we're going to select all of these points that are of the neck and bind them. The neck highlight now, we're going to select the bone we want and come in, and maybe there is or isn't any point there, but cool. So the neck is done. And then we're going to go, okay, the eye doesn't need anything that way because it's already bound. The brow is bound. The inner mouth now needs the points. So we're going to go ahead, and this particular bone is going to be bound to these points. And this will be bound with these. Whoops, almost took the ones I didn't want. So I think that will be okay. We might want to actually use this one as well. And now this throat shadow is going to probably be completely bound with that. I don't see there any reason not to do that. So we'll say bind points. Cool. So we have that. The head, I think everything in the head is just bound how it is. The teeth are good. The jaw now, let's deselect everything. Let's select a bone. This particular bone, that is the jaw. So we need to take that jaw layer, right here and grab, let's grab this because I want this to bond with the head, if that makes sense. So that bone and then these points, bind those because we're going to leave this to stretch with the head. And the jaw shading is going to be that. The jaw, once again, this bone now is going to be bound with these points. And then the jaw shading for that will be bound to these. And quickly enough, I mean, it's a really, really quick process, honestly. This is going to be our nose stuff. So the teeth are all done, but this nose needs to be bound to this bone. And we're going to go most of the way out. And we're going to go most of the way up. And I say let's just include, well, that is going to be everything. So we do want that, I think, because that's not going to bend here. So we bind those. The nose 3. It's going to be partially bound to that bone here. So I am just going to come around to that, bind those. And I think all that is going to be the next bone. If it's not right, it's totally changeable later on if we go, I don't like the way that's moving. And then we bind those. That's simple. So the nose shadow now needs the same treatment. That's going to be primarily that bone. So we're just going to come in like that, bind those, select the other bone here, and get the rest of these. Simple. And that should be it. Other than nose highlight, I think is all going to possibly be bound just to this bone. I don't see a reason why we have to mess with that too much. That one point is not going to make a lot of difference. It might, but I don't think it is. The eyes are done. The brows are done. So all of that should be good to go. Obviously, smart bone actions need to be implemented so that it doesn't stretch and do weird stuff. But let's go ahead now back to our bone layer and just check it out. Everything should work to some degree. That seems to be pretty good. This is the head. Obviously, we missed a point or two there. This is also not bound. The head layer is not bound. I did skip that, I guess. Let's just go find it. Head. So this is going to need the head specifically here bound. So let's just get rid of everything. And what do we need? Let's get all of this, not those other points, and that can all go. So we're going to go ahead and bind those. And then this bone here will now take on these few at the bottom. Let's just make sure we have this other one. I don't know. It feels like, yeah, I didn't get those somehow. So I'm just going to grab all those now and bind those. Sometimes they get missed. Let's go back and find the nose pieces that were not good. So the nose highlight seems to be okay there. The nose shadow seems to be good in 2 spots there. The nose 3 seems to be okay there. The nose 1, this is the one I was realizing had some issues. So let's go ahead and select the bone. That's that. That one looks fine. And this, though, for this bone, don't think it has any of them. So we do need those there. I think that's all of them. Let's double check again. Going back to our bone layer. And now we can check all of this out. That seems to work. That seems to work. The neck is not cooperating. The jaw seems to be good. So let's check out what's going on with the neck. let's just come down here to it. I probably didn't bind one of those bones. So with this bone, oh, and there's our base bone that probably also should be possibly something bound to it. So let's go ahead and here, and we'll just say this whole bottom edge, we'll go ahead and bind that there. And then this bone has all these guys, which look right. And then this bone, look at that, nothing. So we're going to have to come in here and say, hey, you guys, all of these, let's not do that. Let's say all of these now are bound to it. Looks good. Got a warning for my K-Lite codec pack. All right, let's go ahead and get those done. And then this last one here, which is the head bone, also needs some of the neck involved. I mean, who doesn't? Okay, so now back up into the dragon dude. And now we're going to check this once again, and it seems like that's okay. The highlight is not bound, the inner mouth. So there's always these things, right? So let's say the neck highlight. Let's go down here and find it. Neck highlight now. And we're going to say this bone, that's correct. But this bone does not have any of the neck highlight involved, and we do need that, so we put that one there like so, and I think we might as well use both of those. Good to go. And let's check all this inner mouth stuff now. That says that is correct. That is going to be those. That is going to be those. But the head needs these ones up at the top. So let's grab all of these upper ones, and we say bind. So now we need that throat shadow. I believe this one has pretty much nothing bound either. And I think that bottom one now can get that other bone. So let's just do this and bind that one with that. I'm going to make sure the upper has those. Yep, that all looks good too. Let's just see what works or doesn't now. Hopefully it's everything, but we might have missed a highlight or something, which is probably going to possibly be that upper one. Do not know until it happens, so let's find out. Once again, we've got that. We've got a cheek problem. That's what it is. Everything else seems to be working correctly, so let's figure out what this is. So, looks to me like it's possibly within the jaw. Teeth are fine, but the jaw association here now needs to be, this bone is fine with those guys. This bone, except for those up there, and that is the problem. So what it was is I planned on putting those points with that bone. All right, so now let's go back. Everything should be working now. It happens. You got to go back and forth and pick and choose, you know, the stuff, and then you should be good. Let's see. This one works fine. This one, we got a shadow problem too. All right, I'll fix that in a sec. But everything else seems to be working great. So we'll go to where our eyes are, and it's going to be on the head layer actually. So eye shadow. I remember we didn't absolutely bind everything with that probably. So just make sure that on this bone, look at that, nothing. We're gonna make sure these points go with that. Bind. And there's something else on the jaw. I'm not entirely sure what is and isn't working there. So that looks fine. That looks fine, but is this a neck? Yeah, that's a neck associated. This is jaw here, and that one should get that. So all that looks pretty good. Let's just go with the jaw highlight. I'll bet it's one of those jaw shading, jaw. Let's just check the bones now in the jaw. That is apparently good. That is apparently good. That is seemingly right. Jaw shading now is probably where the problem is. So if we select that, we've got this Yeah, nothing on this is right. We've got this, I think, are good. And then this bone here should be everything else. And that's our problem right there. So let's go ahead and include these two. Everything else should be good. I think that's everything. Cool. So going back to the beginning, grabbing the bones tool here, remove the neck. I mean, obviously smart bones are going to help. There's a highlight that's screwed up there. But everything else except for, well, we still have a weird shadow. Let's figure out what it is. It's going to be that piece right there is not moving with the jaw. So it is the jaw shadow. It's not going well. That moves with that. That does stretch with that. So the jaw shadow, and it looks like a couple of the highlights on the scales. It's a tedious process until everything is good, but let's go ahead, find out those scales I think are on the head, which they are. So we're going to deselect everything, grab that head bone, and go in here and say, you guys right here need to also be part of the party. Bind those because that will go with the neck apparently. So that one should be good, but then the jaw shadow, that's the one that keeps giving me some issues. Jaw shading. Let's just find out what the deal is here. That's jaw. Those are fine. Jaw shading. It should be right. It looks kind of right. Let's make sure, but we'll go back to jaw and we pick the points for it, and nope, those aren't associated at all. I don't know why. I must have just missed them, or sometimes it does click out and doesn't, it changes its points here and there on some little things. So I'll bind those. I'll bet you now everything works good. Let me just make sure those two are bound. They almost were not. So everything now should be working. I've said this 300 times since I've started, but I kind of mean it now, for sure. I mean it now. I'll never do that again, honey. I mean it this time. Okay, so that all looks good. That all looks good. This works. Obviously, smart bones will fix any problems there. That looks good. The jaw, everything there looks good too. Okay, so that's everything except for smart bones. So we might as well chuck some in. Why not? And I know. I mean, my coffee's gone cold again. I just don't know what I'm doing. Let me just do a little save here. Just going to call this Dragon Dude, I guess. So I'm going to go with throw this in a folder of some 2D stuff. And move on. I don't normally do my folders on screen. Okay, so with that, we can just start with each one of these bones. When it's done saving, and come over here and start making some actions. So we'll just jump over to actions when it decides I'm allowed. And with that particular bone selected, and this should be called, neck 1, neck 2, clatu verata neck 3. I don't know why I put neck 3 because that actually is neck 2. I was making a joke and, lost track of what I was saying. This is the head bone. Yeah, I do want to do a head turn because that will show kind of the stacking and how, cool it can be and how complex it can get. So jaw 1. And I'm going to call this jaw 2. Could call it chin, but, I'm all about doing my own thing. Jaw 2. And that's all the bones. Crazy, just a very, very few amount. So let's go ahead and do a few actions just to correct some of the shapes here. And yeah, and then yeah, let's do the head turn after the fact. So within here, I'm just going to click on a new action, neck 1, and we get our little timeline for that action right down here. And let's rip this back this way. It looks pretty good. However, you see the highlight is kind of screwed up. So we're going to go down to neck highlight and adjust it. Let me just click off of everything and do one of these. See how that plays. Yeah, that works. You can also maybe adjust some of these scales a little bit if you wanted to. They're not important, but the details, you know, why not? Okay, so there's neck 1. We will jump back to the main line. We will go back to the bone layer. And then, of course, I'm going to close up my folders for the moment just so they're easy to find in a second. And on frame 0, once again, we create a new one for neck 1, 2. It's supposed to be neck 2. And go to frame, my little trusty frame 48. And I'm going to bend this way. Not a lot of issues, which is good. And on that neck, I'm just gonna move some of my trusty points around. And that looks pretty good for that bone. And now let's go back to the main line again, go up to the next bone. And this is just the rhythm I get into. I don't know if you've done any, or who watching has done any or much rigging, but yeah, you get the idea. It's pretty easy. It can be very complex. I'm working on a character for a company, but it's like this woman character that was taken from original artwork they did. I redrew it. I didn't do the tracing thing. I redrew it. So I'd have more freedom with it, and you know, layers and everything and the details. But I had to redo her, and there's probably 200 layers, and it's simple artwork, but it's just the way it has to go together and move. For her head turns, she's got hair, and it's kind of like the coffee lady I did, but it's full body. She's got to walk. I mean, the coffee lady was only the upper half, and she just literally raised a cup, smile a little. But the other has to be able to talk and everything. So I did mouths, I did everything. I've still got to do her hand shapes, and that's something I have to do today. A couple of kids, like chest high, chest up, like ethnic backgrounds, and then another one of her. It'll be a copy of her with different clothes, but I still have to do her clothes and stuff, showing like sitting or some other action, you know. So it's pretty crazy. So with that, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's go ahead and do another action for this bone. This is going to be neck 2. And we're going to go, once again, same thing. I'll try not to talk about things that don't matter so much right now. And we'll pull that one back. You know, it doesn't have to go tons, but I just want to overdo it to make sure that, you know, we have that leeway. So the neck, I'm just going to click off, and I'm going to pull this out just slightly, and then on the highlight, you know, get that curve back really where that should be. And that looks good. So we can test it out. Yep, perfect. And then back to the main line, back to the bone layer, and throw on another one for the neck 2-2. If it was a ballerina, you know, we'd wear a neck 2-2. Possibly. Well, it doesn't have a body, so it'd have to. And then back here, we're going to bend this one down pretty good till we get like that loop, because I like to make sure those are going to go away no matter what. And we'll just take our points here and fix stuff. Cool. And then the neck part here, I gotta pull that loop out. You can see that's happening. And this is like an extreme, you know, but I like to make sure it can handle the extreme here. So you can see now when it goes down, it's never going to flip. Never gonna flip. In fact, if we wanted to, we can even go here and adjust a couple of scales, you know, to make sure that they kind of bend with the neck bend. It's just prettier. Got an extra frame, we'll just fix that. Now you can see they kind of, you know, work together. Those little details do matter, you know. Yeah, about 200 on that woman. It's insane, because, you know, and she has simple eyes. She doesn't even have, like, you know, multiple layer eyes. But there's a layer for each eyebrow. You know, but she's got like 7 mouths. There's and they're all single lines for most of it. For the mouths, there's her 2 ears, one each. You know, obviously, any shading is an additional layer per object. I mean, it just goes forever. But they look really good. You know. I'll open this guy and count the layers, and we'll see what he has come out to be so far. But back out here, let's go up to the next bone. This is going to be our, our head bone. Let me grab the bone layer. And this will be the head bone. And now we'll make an action, make sure everything is right for it. This is head. And I'm going to go to 48. I totally missed breakfast. I was supposed to eat. Oh, no. I ate. What's wrong with me? Man, it's one of those days, I guess. So I'm going to pull this way back, and you can see we'll never really have to do this unless he's, like, turned over and flying, right? But with that, we still need to fix the actual head shape here, which we can see is kind of ganked. So the hardest thing is figuring out, okay, where does this stuff go? Well, that is obviously a scale. We can fix those up. We can go ahead and make this like so. This obviously looks horrid, so those go back up. And then always test, you know, what is this supposed to be doing? Where is that supposed to be at? That way, you know, if you make a double frame, just throw it back over the top and they'll bond together. Not bad, not bad. I think, though, this could go with a little more of that. And then, of course, the highlight of the neck can now be shortened and adjusted to where it's gonna give us that. And you can see that this particular thing flips backwards. That one, which we don't want doing it. We want this to stay, you know, in the right direction. In fact, we can make these go more like so. Yeah, none of that's perfect because it's well, it's a cartoon, man. I'm gonna get over it. So that looks pretty good. I am gonna fix that little neck one right there. So I think, whoops, that one should definitely come down. Way too many points in that little dude, but I did do it with the freehand tool, and gives it a few too many points, but okay, looking good. So I can double check that one last time. I think that's okay. It's a cartoon. So now with that bone, let's go ahead and go back to our bone layer, back to our main line. We need head 2 now. So with this one, let's give that one another action. It should give us head 2. That's going to be going down, so I'm just going to grab that, turn it like so. Need to fix that stuff in the back. So the head layer, Deselect everything. That's fine. And make sure the stuff isn't getting too weirdly squished. I think this could probably do one of those. And the neck, this could probably, man, those need to be minimized pretty heavily here. Could be like so. And then the, oops, that's got to be consistent. That highlight in the neck now needs to also kind of bend forward. Okay, that works. That one highlight is a little, that scale is lagging behind here. So we should be able to do that okay. Okay, works for me. And then with that, let's go on to the nose bone. The nose bone. That's going to be my new band name. Nose bone, all one word. And now I'm going to make an action bone layer, frame 0, the cropper bone, and nose. And this isn't going to move much, but you know, enough. And I'll just move that one up this way. And this is mainly for talking stuff. So if we come down to the actual nose here, nose 3 I think is the one I want. Yep. Gonna go like so. And I'm just gonna adjust the points around to make sense. So when he lifts that up, that goes down, and that looks good. Works for me. Don't even need to adjust the highlight in my opinion. It's a cartoon. Okay, so, and then this one should not have any specific actions, but the jaw now definitely, oh, I need to do a nose down, don't I? No, I think that is the down position for me. So let's go back to the bone layer, and we're going to go down to the jaw here. This is where we're going to get a lot of action. I have to make a lot of corrections probably. So frame 48, I'm just going to come up here and open that out. And it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Not at all, in fact. I'm kind of nervous about that. And let's just go to the jaw. Everything right? And go to the jaw itself. And I kind of want to open that up just slightly, so I'm going to get rid of all that and just sort of pull down and pull down for more of a rawry experience there. So let's see. Rawr, that's good. That's good. I don't even so much mind this kind of backing up some. Let's get this a little more forward though, because that looks better. Okay, I'm okay with that. It's just the jaw movement, so I think I want to do the inside of the mouth just a little bit. The shading is fine, but you see how I'm on the same bone and within the same action, I'm able to go in and change other layers, you know, as well. So let's grab nothing and then grab these. Can change our curvature a little there to sharpen that up. I want to make sure nothing's doing anything too weird on any of the other layers. Making sure our curvature is good to hide everything. Because you don't have to have stuff, you know, right against the edge. That's the point of using layers, masking. It's where all this stuff can be hidden. Let's see, make sure that still feels a little too close to the edge there, in my opinion. Because none of that needs to be like that. And in fact, I'm going to adjust that curvature here just to give us a little bit of leeway. We'll go back now. We do want to be able to close his mouth. So on the bone layer again. I'm just going to take that frame 0, do another with that jaw bone selected, do jaw 1, 2. I called it jaw 1, so, you know. Thanks. So let's go ahead and close the mouth. This will be frame 48. And I'm just going to come in here and do like so. We get a loop. And obviously, we don't want to mess with that one now that I think about it, because that's gonna, we're doing the action for this particular bone. So let me just go with my jaw. Deselect everything. Make sure we get this nice and closed up. That should be good for that. And yeah, the inside of the mouth seems to be doing okay. I'm going to go find it though, because I know there is a flip somewhere there. So inner mouth. Yep, big flip. And what I mean by that is this is causing a loop due to the stress put on those splines. As you can see here, we don't want all this business doing that. I'm going to come back here and just kind of check. Yeah, that looks okay. We'll never see anything that goes awry. Okay, so the reason why I didn't do anything with the bottom is because it's its own bone. So now we need to go back to our main line, back to the bone layer for the second bone of the jaw. And make sure everything's good and do a jaw 2. And this is going to actually just give us the be able to flap this down and up. We already have, I believe, the... Okay, this is jaw 2. So jaw 2, yeah, we're going to be able to go up on this one, which we need. This isn't about closing it yet. We're going to be able to go up on this, which I think that's perfectly fine right there. And that's done. And then we're going to come back to the main line. We're going to go on that same bone, create another action, jaw 2, 2. This is the one that's going to come down, which is going to allow us to close the mouth when we get there. And we're going to do that as far as we probably need, which is good for, you know, if he's talking. I'll probably come down here to the jaw and adjust some of those there, like right here, so that when he does that, you know, we get that. Maybe also a little more teeth through that, and then the inner mouth can jump forward and down here, so we get this nice coverage. So now we'll go back up to the main line, and you'll see we have that ability, and we're going to make a control bone that does a special, but when we go and close this, we can also pull this back down to get a different kind of closing. And I do want to adjust that some more now that I think about it here. So let's go ahead back to the main line, and let's go with this jaw 2, 2. And this comes down. I want to adjust that to be able to bend a lot more than that. So right here on the bone layer, we got to go find that. We want this to be turned quite a lot more. And I'm going to make sure I didn't actually move that other one. Okay, I don't think so. So we're going to move this bone. What's going on here? Oh, we're not in the bone layer. We're going to take that bone and rotate it down quite a bit more, and then I'm going to pull that loop out. So let's go down to the jaw layer. We might have to adjust the shading layer as well. So this one will Now come over here. This one will go here and here. And that's an extreme, but let's find out though when we manipulate the whole thing that we can get it at least in a closed position. That's really important to be able to do. So we will close this. We will open this more. I'm not getting any ability to open this jaw. Okay, let's jump back. We did something wrong on the jaw 2-2. So this is the jaw 1. The jaw 2-2. Maybe because I'm not on the animation or the timeline past frame 0. So I'm going to go to frame 1. Just double check this because sometimes frame 0 won't let you manipulate things correctly, I found out. So with that, let's try to move this jaw. Yeah, that's what it was. So with this one going up and this one coming down now, we should be able to get a nice closed mouth position like that. Okay, so what that's going to be for, I'm going to get rid of these keyframes down there. Now we're going to make controls. That ought to be fun. So make sure no bones are selected. You're on frame 0. And I'm going to start creating dials. And this is going to be stuff for like opening the mouth, blinking the eyes, making it look around, making his nostril flare. And then we're going to do also a head turn. Very important. So within frame 0, I'm going to draw a bone with nothing else selected. Let's do some eye looking back and forth. I'm going to make 2 bones. Make sure you do not parent them to each other. Like this. And this is going to be eye left and eye right. So I write the songs. I right. His right. And I left because I was not happy. Now, there we go. Come on now. So we want to make sure we show the labels on these two. So I left and show the labels on that too. And with those, we're going to make smart bone dials. So we just come up here with that bone selected and come down and go make smart bone dial in that bone menu. That should open up waiting. That should open up our little timeline in the bottom here for that dial in a second. I'm not sure what we're waiting on. Oh, sorry. There we go. A little dialogue had popped up on the other screen. I didn't see it. So we want to go with all this. Negative 90, positive 90. I'm going to go 100. It doesn't need to be that long, but it still works. And I'm going to go to here. And we're going to take our right eye, his right eye, and we're going to go grab the pupil. And on frame 100, we're going to grab all the points of it, and I'm going to move those over to the right. Now it should cut off. Oh, we do not have that set for masking, but that's totally okay. And I can go fix that if I really wanted to, but let's just, animate a couple of points to do this kind of thing. And we should be good. And what I'm going to do now, you can see as I pull this back, we get that eye looking that way. So I'm going to go back to the main line. Actually, we need to get both, or no. Back to the main line, sorry, and back to the bone layer. That was for eye right, but we're going to also make that same eye move the other direction. So eye right 2. Not that it's moving right, but it is the right eye. This one's going to make it go the other way now. So we'll come down here. And I was going to say, for head turns, you guys really want to try to draw your character straight on if he's going to be looking both directions. I'm going to try to attempt to make it do this with this guy, which is an extreme kind of difficult way to do it, but hey, I can do anything. All right, so with that, I'm going to grab the eye right pupil again. I'm going to just kind of surround my points because I'm going to do the point animation and not the layer animation on this. And we're going to pull that over this way. Looks funny now, but deselect, go like so. And if you had this set to where it was masking properly, you could do this without having to do any of the tweaks I'm doing right here. All right, so this will now come back over here properly. And we're going to go back to the main line. And now we will be able to move on a bone layer. We'll be able to move this particular control, which should not have any power on it, by the way, left and right to control where he's looking. So on the next one here, you want to make sure that the power is turned off. Zoop. And it will automatically turn off when you make it a bone dial. But this is our eye left. We're going to go here and we're going to go to bone, make smart bone dial, and it'll open up our dialogue, which we want to keep. We'll say yep, and come over here, go down to frame whatever you have it set at. Mine's at 100. This is going to take the eye left now. Let me just close these up to find everything. And on the eye left, we'll grab the pupil and move it over to his right. Let's grab everything here and move it to the right. Grab our points and do a little point animation here as well, which we don't have to, like I said, if we're using our masking. But hey, we're versatile. And so this will now come back over like so. And we're going to go back to the main line, double click it, and we're going to drop down to the eye left 2, and we're going to go back to frame 100. And now we're going to move this the other way. So grab the points and move those over as far as those need to go. Click off and readjust my points here. But yeah, I appreciate the compliments. Okay, and so now back to the main line, and you can see these can be moved independently of each other, but we're going to make a control to do them together as an option. So I'm just going to go back to Dragon Dude, and we're going to make sure we have none of these selected. Click off the screen somewhere. We're going to add another bone right here. I'm going to call this one eye look. And back that up, and there you go. And we want to make sure we select and turn on the label. With it highlighted, go to bone, make smart bone dial. We accept everything because this is going to be just both of them. But instead of manipulating any of the points or layers, we're going to manipulate the other bones. So by bringing this all the way to the left, all the way to frame 100, we're now just going to go grab the other 2 bones and say rip and rip, and then that way when this one's down, it'll make these 2 do that. Okay, back up on the main line now. We're going to do this again, and we're going to select the same bone. Make sure you're on the bone layer, and we're going to go into eye look 2, and we're going to go here to the frame 100. And then we're just going to grab these bones and go the other way. And it will put those to the right side. And make sure you go all the way. There we go. And then we can go back to the main line. And believe it or not, that eye control is done. And we can hide these bones right here if we want to by clicking on the bone and clicking shy bone. It'll just sort of hide it. I like to leave them up because what if you want to do crossed eyes or something like that, you'd want to have that ability to do that kind of thing. So with that, now you can take this one though and move these together at the same time. They'll wind up at the same place at the same time, and everything works well. So now we can go up and down, we can go side to side, and we can make blinks, but let's just do a blink first. So with none of these selected and being on frame 0 and on your bone layer, we're going to click add a bone. And we can blink these separately. I'll do that later, but let's just blink these together for now. This will be called blink. You got a lot of freedom. You can do stuff at any time you want, pretty much in here. So with that selected, we'll show the label. We're going to make sure it's selected. We're going to go to bone, make smart bone dial. Yeah, let's do both because we can make it get wider as well. So we're going to come over, and with these to the left, that'll be my closed position. Of course, I'm going to come down to my eye right, and we're going to go lid bottom and bring it up a little bit because you know, you don't have to make just the top lid flap down. You can actually make him even squint if you make these go separately. And we're going to go down to lid top, and I'm going to grab not the highlight, but the actual lid. Move those points to where they meet in the middle, like Malcolm. You knew I was going to say that. And then you can see this one will blink. So back up, out. How's it going, Wilson? I am just messing around with a character that I just flipped out of a weird shape, made a sketch, decided to go ahead and make the puppet out of it. And so that is our left blink there. We're going to do both eyes at the same time, though, on the same control. So we're going to go back in here to blink 1, where this comes down and blinks. We're going to now close the other eye. So top, or let's do the bottom lid first, same way we did before. Make sure nothing else is selected. Find my bottom lid for my left eye, not the right eye, because, well, that would be silly. We already did that. And get these up, and this one up here, and this one up here. And then, of course, the top lid, making sure it's not those parts, but these, and down, and down, and down. Now we have that guy closed. Make sure that's overlapping just a little. And now both the eyes will close at the same time. When we go back to our main line, they do not widen yet. We'll have to add a control for that as well. But now if you look, I'm going to come over here and just click, and we can blink, 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 and we can look back and forth and blink, blink, blink. So you get the idea. And to make them widen, it's the same thing. We're just going to go down to our blink 2 that it automatically created when we said we wanted 2 different controls for that. When it goes to the right now, what's going to happen is our lids are going to open wider, of all the weird things to imagine. So this is going to come up, this is going to go out a little, and so on. And the bottom one's going to do the same thing to widen them out. And we're going to come all the way down to the other eye here. Do the same thing. And the bottom. And you eventually get used to making this stuff to where the way it's made, you know how it's going to react. So use After Effects as my main rigging tool for characters. You know, I love After Effects. I use it for everything. Control surfaces, for plugins that I do, for effects work, obviously, and all that. Moho is better for 2D animation. I'm just going to say it. Now, you can always export the layers that you generate in Moho to After Effects and do all your effects and stuff like that in there. So you can use it hand in hand. But I think overall, just as a standard 2D animation tool, Moho, in my opinion, kicks butt of everything, because you can do frame by frame in here also, if that's your thing. It's not mine. So like something like Toon Boom or whatever, you know, is better in ways if that's your thing. But Moho can do that too. So, you know, I just think Moho is honestly great. I would be a poster child, honestly, for it. I've taught a good amount of tutorials on it so far, lots of live streams. It's just, in my opinion, for what I'm doing with it, the best. You can do anything from Disney cartoons to things that look like bitmap artwork. You can also bring in bitmap artwork and warp it super easy. Other things can do it, but the way Moho does it is just super, super easy. So yeah, I'd recommend it. Okay, so that is our eye blinks and movement. We don't have up and downs, but you get the idea. And so now let's do our brows real quick because, well, we need brows. David Brows, if this was dry theater, just kidding. Prows, not brows. Yeah, so we want that. We're going to go back to that bone layer. I mean, you could just see the ease of use of this thing. Make sure nothing is selected. You can put these bones anywhere you want. I typically kind of like them around my area that I'm going to be using them in. Don't want to parent these together, so make them at separately. Click off of them. This one's going to be called brow left because it's his left. And then the other one will be called brow right. And I didn't do something, but when I select these, I like to show the labels. So show the labels, like Libby. And on the label, you're too young to know what I'm talking about. Cool. Well, with that, I'm going to go into this first one. We're going to go to bone, make smart bone dial. It asks, how do you want to do this? Yes, we want to do kind of like in between. So I need to fix something now because it's already in a mad expression. I'm going to come back out to my main timeline here real quick and adjust this before I do anything because he'll stay in this expression. We want him to have the middle ground of that expression. So I'm just going to grab that and let me zoom in so I can see my control. And I'm going to rotate this like that, make it a little bit up. So I'm going to do the same thing on my other brow. Let's come in here, grab those points, and rotate those now. Make them come up and make them more neutral. Cool. Now when I go into the bone layer here and I go into my brow right 1 action, when it goes over, this could be the down. So what I will do is select my brow right, and I'm going to make this the mad position. So it's going to come down, angle, and the whole thing. Let's make it even more extreme, like this. So now we'll get this as that goes down. Cool. And I'm going to make it now double clicking into the other action of it. We have these set to 100 frames. So I'm going to go there. This one will now rotate this way and maybe come up a little bit. So now we'll get this with that one. I'm going to go back out to our main timeline. Yeah, I highly recommend it. And I get so much done so fast with it. So now into our other bone here on the bone layer. We grab this one. And I'm going to say, is that one already a smart bone? Nope. Let's make smart bone dial. Yep, perfect. Go here, go to frame 100 with it. This is going to be our down position. So brow left. And we're going to grab its points and rotate them down and move it down. So now we get this. And then back into the second position for it at frame 100. And I'm going to lift it up and rotate it. If I can find my rotational gizmo there. There we go. Like that. We'll have a nice kind of full range of expression there. We need to do some smiles and stuff, but you'll see now that that is set like this. And I can group these together too, but with those like so, just grab this and make these do what I want. Raise them up, put them down. Cool. So those work, and it's a goofy dragon character, I guess. Pretty goofy. And we can make his mouth open and close now with a smart bone dial as well. So clicking off of all your bones on frame 0 on the bone layer, we're going to make another bone here. This one's going to be called jaw open, or jaw. Just call it jaw. We're going to make sure that we show the label. I'm going to go in and make smart bone dial. Jaw, perfect. It's at 100. I don't care what the frames are right now. This will be the jaw closing action. So what I'm going to do is grab that bone and close it up. Grab this bone, pull that one down like so, to where it's closed. So now we're going to get this when he closes his jaw. So that works for me. Then we're going to go back up to our main line, and we're going to need a and I probably should not have done this end piece, but it's closing the mouth, so it's like an expression. We're going to go select this jaw again. Not sure why we don't have 2. Oh, this bone is what we want, not the jawbone. And we're going to... why don't we have 2 there? That's a good question. We should have jaw 1 and jaw 2 unless I did that incorrectly. So let's go ahead, delete this particular one. This jaw will now need to be made into a smart bone again. And it's going to ask me about this. We do want 2 separate actions. So right now we only have 1. I don't know why. And that's going to close the jaw. So I'm just going to move that bone. That should not be a problem to move the bones. And that should be absolutely what we need. So I'm going to come back up. Oh, we have a jaw 1 and 2 for something else. So I'm going to come up here, and maybe that should be called jaw close. Or jaw, yeah, we're going to need to make a new one here. So I'm going to relabel this one real quick. Jaw, I'm just going to put talk so I know, it's not a jaw smart bone. This is a jaw action, and it does make a difference. So jaw, there we go. Now we'll make this as a smart bone dial with a different name. Very important. Jaw talk, boom. We should have 2 jaw talks now here at the bottom. We do. That's what I was worried about. So cool. That goes here. Now we can refix this to be what it is supposed to be. This will be the jaw, closing position here. So now we can make this open and close when he talks. And then we're going to go back to jaw talk 2. So when it comes up here, this is going to be the open, the jaw position, pretty extreme, kind of rar kind of thing for the jaw. And you can do full expressions too. So, hey, what's up, man? How's it going, Greg? How's it going, Sloth Cat? And was it Wilson? Yeah, all you guys are in here. So yeah, I'm just kind of doing some stuff. I'm tired, man. I haven't had enough peanut butter and jelly. Oh, thanks. I haven't had enough coffee today or something. Okay, so basically what I've done is we're back here on the main line. We're back on the bone layer. So now if you look, when I move this around, we get the close and the open. So we can say, hey guys, what's going on? Rawr, right? And I can go rawr with these, and I can make him blink, like a standard character, and widen his eyes, and look back and forth, and blink and look and be kind of sly and, you know, maybe, no, sir, I didn't like it. So you get the idea. So combining smart bones is also really not here. So combining smart bones is another really cool thing to do for expressions. I mean, you can make sure none of your bones are selected, add a new one, like say here. I'm just picking random spots, and we're gonna call this one scream. Okay, so I'm just gonna say scream or roar. Let's do roar. It's a little less violent. I don't care, but some people might. And I'm going to go back here and select the show label. And within that, now we can create a new smart bone dial from that. And with this, it's called roar. I'm just going to go 0 to 90. It doesn't need to have 2 directions. We can just go like 48 frames for it as well. And now we're going to get this 48 frame animation down here. And when this goes up, you know, it's going to do whatever we need. So I'm gonna not do what I just did. I'm gonna move the jaw open. I'm gonna make the brows be down, and I'm gonna make him blink a bit, and I'm gonna make him look forward. This is all my roar action, essentially, that I just created. So now when I come back out over here to the main line, double click it, and I go back to my manipulate bones over here on the bone layer. If I move this roar, it does everything together. So I can go roar at any point and make him roar. So that's the, you know, the beauty of doing that. But here's something else you can do with that. If I come in to that roar action again, because it looks a little stiff because it's just bones moving, you can actually come into the let's see, where is his jaw? Or no, his nose, I'm sorry. And I can find specifically the area I want. And now you can also on there, you probably already know this, but you can manipulate the points at the same time within this expression. So as this comes down, and we did this, what, for 48 frames, I can now raise this up, you know, all of this, however you want to do. I probably should have done these separately. And then on the head layer, I think is what I'm looking for. Right here. I can lift these up more, and then the jaw. We can push this back a little more. We can take the front nose and also the inner mouth, obviously. And yeah, bones that control other bones, but also are controlling the other layers and other bones, all for the same expression. So let me show you just real quick here, though, on the nose. Let me find that. Nose 3. I'll lift this up. That's my nose shadow we're seeing there. So I'm going to just kind of do that. You can also animate curvature, you know, to where that gets sharper. We can grab that nose shadow now and grab a few of these and pull them up. And once I get these few situated here, it'll make some more sense. And they grab the teeth here. Yeah, that needs to be adjusted right there. We can grab, let's say, this tooth. And all this will be kind of within that expression that we're doing here. Let me grab the rotate. Where are you? My I'm on a 24-inch monitor, but I'm still like looking at it like I'm 52 Oh man, I am 54. Okay, so these can then be moved and rotated within that expression even. And you could do those too, but I'm going to go now to the eyes, and let's change the top lid specifically for the expression. Now it'll only really happen during this expression unless you're mixing this expression with others. I don't know if that makes sense. And that's fighting me to put that there. I've never seen that. Why is it doing that? Weird. See how it's jumping back? I've never seen that before. It's almost like it's not wanting to go because it's conflicting with something else. I've never seen that do that before. That is so weird. And let me go with my it's probably what it is I have another slider on the eyeballs or the eyelids done, so it's trying to fight that a little bit, I would imagine. Yep. And then we'll pull this one down to be a little bit more angry. And make the nostril just a little bigger now. So where's my nose? Nose 3. And we can just grab all those. Can even move that as a unit. And then, of course, scale it up to make the nostril get bigger. So now when we go back to the main line, yeah, thanks. It was just a quick sketch. I just made a blob and then decided to try and pull a character out of it. So there's that. So now, though, when we go back to this bone layer, we can make him do all these things, of course. He can talk and he can move his eyes, but we can also make them go together so that this one eye bone is controlling those, but you can still use them individually when they're cooperating. What's going on here, man? I think Moho's not... it's not cooperating. It might be my pin or the fact that these are locked. It just doesn't want to unlock now, which is new. Normally you can use these independently of each other, and it's being... You know what it is? I'm not on frame 1 because that actually makes a huge difference for animation. So there we go. You get the idea. So you can actually keep the relative distance as well as you're doing this. So pretty crazy, right? So once you have those set, but check out the what am I trying to say? A lot of times I do like to keep these in the middle. Okay, so then of course we can do the blink, the brows, and so forth and so on. But now he roars and he goes, rah. Every one of those things happens within that expression. As a matter of fact, you can even adjust all of this while he's in that expression. And then, of course, that becomes relative. So, it's a matter of how you want to manipulate it, I guess. It's pretty free. But you have to get yourself, I guess, kind of in the thinking mode of how it's going to work. But anyway, you get the idea. So he's a weird character. I'm not really 1,000% happy with it, but it's pretty cool. See, his nostril gets bigger. I probably should have made that move up more or whatever. Also, that roar, his jaw is not doing that business, which I do want when he does the roar. So, and I think I didn't include that. So we go back to here. We go back down to the roar. Go back in that action and say, wait a minute. Oh, no, he is doing it. So, yeah, I don't know why that isn't working. Mo's got some bugs. It does. Let's just make sure we're on frame 1 or beyond for this, and he will actually include that. So, yeah, if you're on frame 0, sometimes the things don't stick. I don't really know why, but as long as you're... See, now look. It's not working again. The kind of strange, isn't it? And just pull that out. And that should be not including this now. Now, granted, you can animate that just fine, but it's kind of odd to me that I'm having to go in and set that separately. So if I pull this way, and then somewhere down the line here, a little more of that, and then here he roars. See what I'm saying? I don't know why that's not coming. Maybe it's just it doesn't want to cross over that 180, degree mark there. You can be like that, and then all of a sudden it goes roar. But we do not want anything here, so I'll pull this back up at that point. So kind of like separate controls, I guess. I don't know why this one isn't, probably because it has that 180 degree. It's the only thing I can think maybe doing it, But it does work as long as you go back and do that, so. Rawr. And I'm just going to pull this over and copy and paste this one in here. About here. And with that, then I can, animate the rest of him. And this is just a goofy little character, like I say, he's gonna tilt his head down maybe like this. He makes himself look a little sad. And so there, and then to here is where we get him coming alive. Angry brows. Yeah, these double keyframes kill me. So he's rawr. So you have him moving more forward, like rawr, and then more up. Yeah, kind of here. Maybe even a bit like so. And then sort of back to normal. Brows back. Like, did I do that? You get it, like, rawr. So he could be down, and I think this should be a little more, lagged. So he's like, maybe duplicate this over so it lasts a little longer before he pops out with all that. Maybe this over so it's not so sudden. Did you guys know that you can scale your keyframes too? If you grab all these keyframes like so, and you hold down Alt and pull them, you're actually scaling them to each other, relative to each other. So there's a tip for you for today. So now it'll go rawr. See, get that nicer weight for that. So rawr. So cool, right? So let's see. So would you recommend to only do point animation within one timeline action so that there is no battle for? No, I wouldn't. I would do whatever you want to do and see if it works. That's what I do. I mean, there are kind of like rules, but it's 2D and they're kind of meant to break. You do whatever makes it look the way you want it to look, right? So, like I said, you could do frame by frame animation for the smoke puffing out of his nostrils when he screams. You do, whatever you want. And like I said, you mix the point animation, the bone animation. I don't know why that one's having a problem with it specifically. And it may be fighting because something's weird with the actual bone animation there. But if I were to go in, you know, to the eye, let's say now, and it could be because on a certain keyframe it's fighting it or something, but I don't know 100,000%. For the most part, I know it should just work. But you have all these weird little, you know, kind of anomalies. See right here, it's working, but it's kind of popping, doing like an extreme version of it. And I'm not sure. I think it may be because of my interpolation of my keyframes, because it's not, maybe that needs to be set to linear, because it's doing this copy previous, and that could be very well. So that's right now smooth. Let's go with linear. See if that makes any difference to the popping. Not really. I don't know. It's weird. It's like a glitch. I've always seen it as a glitch, and you kind of have to just kind of work around it. I would like to find out if there's a way to not have that problem. See, this one's doing the same kind of thing. It's like a weird scaling thing, and it may be the combination of the bone action, granted. But so what I would do is within maybe that keyframe, go back and take your bone animation off, and then just do point animation. Yes, that is what you just said. So yeah, probably if they're competing, only do the point animation, let's say on the like the eyelid shape there. So let me find out where this conflict may be happening. So right there, you can see, because it's moving the eyelids, and that's going to be right there. So I'm going to go in here and take that. Let me see where my blink is happening all the way. So right there. Yeah, I would just do that. Let's find out. I'm going to go in here and take off the blink. I mean, it seems like it's going to have a problem anyway. That's what I'm thinking. But at that frame on the eyelid, where this keyframe is right now, I'm just going to move that point. And no, it seems to pop. I don't know if that has to do with relative keyframing. Seems somewhat to have something to do with it, but not. It's still doing a lot of readjusting, if that makes sense. The keyframe type doesn't matter. That is a good question. It seems to be an issue, though. Yeah, I don't know exactly how to keep this from happening. I'll be completely honest with you, because it keeps wanting to jump off. I don't have anything like auto weld on. Everything's on singles, not on twos. And I'm hitting. It's not like it's hitting in between frames. It's got something to do, quite possibly, with my actions, but I don't see what, since the bone is essentially off. It's not off, but you know, it's in a pretty neutral, as far as I can tell, position here. I mean, if there's any effect, it would be very little. Yeah, trying to think of what else that could be. It would only have to do with that eye, you know, and the lid. And with most of that turned off, yeah, now I'm kind of confused. You raised a huge question. Like I said, I always just kind of dealt with it. But now it seems like it's just not right. It just should not be doing that. I'm going to have to do some investigating. If you figure it out, please tell me, because I don't know. I mean, it may have be a curve thing, which I don't believe it is either, because, I mean, that's just your curves. It's not doing anything to affect the actual point placement. You can see how it's popping back. I mean, autofill and stroke, that has nothing to do with it. Yeah, I mean, it very well may be a restart bug. I agree with you. So I'm just going to adjust these a bit better like so. And you can, I mean, it looks good. You know, it still works. I don't like having to mess with it. I don't want it to make a decision for me, and then I have to work my way around what it's doing. Yeah, that's not my favorite way of doing anything. So you get the idea. Yeah. So he's yawning. Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to go, guys. I've got some other work I have to finish for a client, or at least for a bid for a client. I hope I get it. But yeah, cool. That was just a long quickie. I've been going about 2.5 hours now, apparently. But I appreciate it. Thanks for coming by, and support y'all, because y'all have been supporting me.